here in Pakatan Raya, we are no longer talking about being and continuing as the opposition. We are preparing to govern and save this country. I know Al-Rafizi had the most applause. You know why? Yeah? Sanusi knows is better. Every time either you are out from or you just back from jail, they give me good applause. Or when they seem to suspect that he may enter jail. But let me say first on Kehadiran and Pakatan Raya. This magnificent, wonderful coalition of disparaging forces. Everywhere I go, I was in Selangor recently, gave a lecture. Someone said, Anwar, you sound very moderate and liberal. How is it you can survive and work with this Islamist Partai Islam? Invariably, I would have to deal with such a question. But they are looking from a different perspective. I always suggest that you in Paris or London or Washington should not dictate the language of discourse. You must have a clear understanding of the political landscape, the nuances, the unique historical experience in this country, to be able to have first the anger unleashed by many. People say that mainly among the Chinese or Indians under the Hindraf affair, Sundaran is an expert, of course, he was defending them in 2008, or now Sabah Sarawak. But I want to emphasize a very valid point that although it's true that the ethnic minorities has a case, they don't feel that it is right after half a century of independence to continue to harp on obsolete policies. But I want you to share my personal conviction in this, that you have a large number of poor, marginalized Malays and Bumiputera that should come under this sort of system. People who are disgusted and virtual victims of this so-called, or what is termed or deemed as a new economic policy of the Dasai Republic. In 2007, Mr. Hussein with me, when I crafted the Malaysian economic agenda, my position then was, I'm very committed to secure and protect the interests of the Malays, particularly the poor and the marginalized. I'm a practicing Muslim. So I'm not coming here talking to the vast majority of Chinese to say, well, don't worry, I'm less a Malay or less a Muslim. No. But I understand better what freedom and justice entail, particularly after 6 years of solitary confinement. I was invited by Mandela incidentally, with the family, Azizah, the children, Riza was there, and Mandela is such a great man because he's extremely kind and not talking about himself. I cannot say, such a great man. I said, no, I feel terribly, badly disappointed. I was not able to do anything much to help you and secure your release. So I said to him, Madiba, no deed, because mine was a short walk to freedom. 6 years, in fact it's 26. But my point is this, going through, people ask me, what have you learned? I mean, frankly, most politicians wouldn't want to acknowledge the fact that they do actually change and transform. And I think the prison experience, the beating, the assault, continuous demonization of me, Aziza, and the family, actually do have, to me, not a negative impact, a positive impact. One traditional religious sheikh in Penang told me, Anwar, accept wisely. And you have gone through such an experience. You consider it dreadful. I consider it useful. I find it odd for this chef to come and tell me these things. Because it was dreadful, it was painful. Okay. And but he said, this is a very pertinent, necessary phase in your life. Useful if you continue. Remember, yes, you forgive, but make sure you have undergone this sort of experience. You know what poverty is all about, because you have only 2 steps close to change, nothing more. Except when you go present yourself in court, but you make sure you use a different type. And I was sent an emergency, one emergency case in the hospital, and the doctor was just so embarrassed because my underpants were so loose. No opportunity to change or to get a replacement. Instead of putting cell, so I joke, I said, I can't be Superman. Because Superman has to make sure that the underwear is outside, not inside. So coming back to this short episode, my experience with the religious teacher, he said, you know what, Pam? What physical assault is all about. What solitary confinement, injustice perpetrated against you. You must have that sense of conviction, that determination to believe and honestly believe that once you are given that mandate to be in Jaya, he used the word supat, meaning empower, then you must make sure that no one, no rakyat should endure the same pain, injustice, discrimination, abuse or assault. Now if you remember that, then you will be a great leader for all Malaysians. So I thought it was very, very emotional for me to listen to that, and that you should use this. So you asked me my personal role. I'm fortunate because I've inherited. I was 6 years in solitary confinement. My colleagues actually who did all the work, I would say was there with us, some of the rest. And we have the AP kids young working, and then past Ning Aziz and Hadi. So I was able just to cement that relations, get the new program, and I think no point arguing about secular state, Islamic state, we better make sure that we write down and agree on the fundamental issues, the constitutional provision, the constitutional guarantee, because there will be continuous differences, but you have clear constitutional guarantees. One, freedom of expression, freedom of conscience, rule of law, distributive justice. Market economy, yes. It was not a firm sole position in the past. You can understand. The more you mention market economy, that they only think of IMF. But very strong, Rawlsian principle of distributive justice. Affirmative action, not based on race, but based on need. This is in essence what we crafted in 2007. And mind you, many of my colleagues in the party even, and more so in mass, not that they were not supportive, but they were worried. They said, Anwar, you are too far ahead. Don't be another battle on. You must be realistic that the Malays for the last 30 years or more have been told that in order to survive, you require the new economic policy. That's all that they understand. So give them time. That's it. I'm not saying or suggesting that we don't do anything. We need to educate them. Leaders must lead. Leaders must have the courage of conviction. My major criticism of Najib is because he lacks the courage. He lacks the coherence. And he's not able to take firm decisions. He cannot lead. I'm not concerned whether he listens to his wife or not. I listen to my wife. I'm not protected by my wife. There's a big difference there. I love my wife, but listen to her, no. If I say the wrong thing, he's out report. I'm in trouble. So this is just the cursory background to how I feel and my personal role. And just to admit, in all humility. Now I always quote the S. Eliot when I talk about humility. Eliot, in the fourth quarter, said this precisely. The only wisdom one can hope to acquire is humility. Humility is endless. If I may add, that is a major component that's lacking in political leadership. The unwillingness to accept that we need to make the necessary adjustments and change, and in that process to acknowledge that you may have a wrong view or make mistakes in the past. Now we are talking about a nation. We have lost our competitiveness. Compared to Indonesia in the 90s, when I was finance minister, Suharto, for whatever it is worth, would make sure that 8 ministers would sit and listen to me for a 2-hour session. Now, they don't care about Malaysia. In terms of economic performance, we'll be lagging behind. So coming to a Pakatan Rakyat program, I think you are quite familiar. I wouldn't go further than that because you are familiar with Kutinga and our programs. But because of that, the last years, we have gone down talking about the just, fair Malaysia. And then addressing, which is more complex, to the rural Malays. Because we all grow only to be told that without any economic policy, you'll be finished. Or without Malay supremacy, then the smart, arrogant Chinese will eat you. Then you go home. In fact, in Sarawak, yesterday, which was a fantastic response, which was, to my mind, something certainly unprecedented. When you go to a small town in the heartland near Saratok, Cabo, and we have thousands of people in this small town. Ibans, Malays, and a small number of Chinese. I think that's the same point. Because the Malays there, can you imagine, in Cabo, rural heartland in Sarawak, ask, Dato', are you sure you can protect the Malays? So my response to that, I never underestimate the wisdom of people. You see, the problem with political leaders or elites, not including the monsoons, they tend to assume that people don't understand these more elaborate, complicated issues. It's how you articulate and explain to them. Now, I said, why are you worried about Kit Siang or 1A or Karpal or Surendran or Sibak? Why? Well, they say because they are firm, they are smart. So I said, then make sure don't elect semi-illiterate Malays or semi-literate Malays. Make sure you elect smart, firm, credible Malays to work with smart, firm, credible Chinese, Indians and Jaya. Then we will all succeed together. You see how I respond. I didn't say that, I give them that confidence. So you have a choice. And these elections, you make sure, and my role, our role in the party, and Pakatan, is to make sure that you do not repeat some of the mistakes in the past. Please don't ask me that question. You must not allow for this sort of feeling among Malays that you are not able to compete. We have enough smart people, complete, credible people, incorruptible. And that is important to Malays. So you give that sort of confidence to them. Let me talk about, for example, our policies. We say, batal PT-PTN rules. You know why? Well, there's a big argument actually. We promote that. Rafizli knows. We have to really push our friends in the DAP and parts to appreciate it. Because the education is so contentious. The Chinese, the Malay poor, the Indians, largely ignored. So I said, why can't we come up with a plan, a program to say, look, all those qualified must be given a chance. And because we have adequate resources in this country to give them that avenue, you don't need, you are from the middle, low income group, you will have a problem. You will be, for the next 15 years after graduation, in debt. Many countries have succeeded. So I see, it will benefit the Chinese, Malays, Indians, Dayaks, Karazans. We will pursue a policy that will give them free education, democratization of access to quality education. But you cannot understand this or take this in the present framework because the quality of education has declined. What has not declined, by the way? Except food. But otherwise, the studies decline. I studied at the University of Jaya. So I was a professor there. I take great pride in that institution. We have seen great professors. I would certainly say the quality of education there was comparable to Singapore, to the University of Rangoon those days, but no longer so. So you take a free education to suggest that you go to UiTM or UKM, or the present, then you have a problem. So I think you must have this mindset because there must be, in the new Pakatan Dayak government, a systemic shift. Not only an issue of governance, a fair, just policy to encourage every Malaysian to participate, but also to understand the fact that the country must move forward and excel. And we have said this publicly in Parliament. I remember one small experience. We were debating on education and I stood up and said, I just came back from an international conference invited by the Saudi government and the governor of Medina to speak. I was a keynote speaker on the ideals of education, pursuit of education, because they wanted to set up one of the most expensive universities in the world. And they decided to appoint the former NUS, this Chinese from Singapore, as the Vice Chancellor. So I asked the governor, knowing his answer, because I wanted to use the answer to our Malay intellectuals, the Professor Kangkong, the Prakasa types. I asked him, why did you choose a foreigner, a Chinese from Singapore, to head your university when you have some very, some great academics with impeccable academic credentials, Arabs, or Saudis, or Egyptians, who can take the lead in this university? His answer is very, very important. He said, yes, they will all be brought back, encouraged to come back, and they will do everything possible to tap their resources. and their services. But none of them had experience to lead and manage a modern university. So we want to make sure and trust this Singaporean, Chinese to lead, at least for the first 3 years. So I asked the same similar question in Parliament. I said, we have 15, 20 public institutions in this country. If you start with 3 Chinese leading some of our institutions, or 1 or 2 Indian, not too many, 1 I think should be alright. And then some that, based on the academic performance, the capacity to lead, what's the problem? You see, none of the unknown guys would dare stand up and counter this argument. Because the mandate is clear. You are not supposed to train Chinese, you are supposed to train Malaysians. So, this I think we can do. And I feel the great thing about the Pakatan Raya is we don't have this inhibitions anymore. I feel as committed, as confident to move on. You ask me about Bahasa policy, I would say we must do more to enhance the level of proficiency of Bahasa. No compromise. In Malay school, Chinese, Tamil, does not matter. But you ask me the second question, where is the position of English? There is no country in the world, not even China. And I was taught still at Oxford at St. Anthony's before I was appointed professor at Georgetown University. I met a number of Chinese students, and they're very fluent in English, students there. So I asked them, where are you from? Beijing, Shanghai, from China. I said, how come your level of your proficiency in English so good? Where did you study? Shanghai or Beijing? What did you do? Intensive English can be done. You see, we lack this political will. Now, if I start, for example, we will look at each other and we say, look, the first thing that we must do is to make sure you enhance the level of proficiency of Bahasa in all our schools. And the following, say, 3 months, then we say, look, now let us look at the level of proficiency of English in our schools and our universities. I think that needs to be done. And many of our English educated guys do not really appreciate this need to take care of the national sentiment and also the requirement to enhance the level of education. So that is why, thank you very much, and you must do whatever it takes to make sure we win these coming elections. Because we stand for a program, not just a party to replace the chief minister or Menteri Besar or prime minister. It's too late for that. I mentioned this in Sabah. How many Menteri Besar or chief ministers or commentary, they are being replaced by different style of robbery. They are robbers. Look at the amount of land and concessions and contracts. And of course it has to end. You ask any minister, can you, as an Iban, stay in a long house and see that all the timber around your house, long house, is just gone and disappeared? You don't have even 1 cent of advantage in interest. This is unacceptable. This is clearly unethical, immoral. But the law allows. So I think I am very, very, of course, encouraged, because in 2008 we made it in Semenanjung. We lost miserably in Sabah. Now we have to consolidate our force and strengthen our forces in the states. We are the 4 states. I believe there will be major inroads in Perak. We will be able to regain Perak, inshallah. And major inroads into Perlis. And I believe we can begin Negeri Sembilan. That's why we are having a major gathering here tonight to launch the Himpunan Rakyat di Seremban. And inroads into Malacca and Johor. I am realistic enough to suggest that we may not take over Johor. We don't need to take over. We are not UMNO-minded to take over everything. So I think it is good also to have a strong government with a strong opposition. I'm just waiting for a chance to debate with the next Mr. Opposition, Najib Abdul Razak. but I'm not giving him a choice. If he's very reluctant to become the leader of opposition, I'll be willing to appoint him as our ambassador to Mongolia. He won't survive 3 days there. Now, what are the prospects? I'm very optimistic. Virtually every day. As I said yes, last night, I was still in Sarawak this morning. Tonight, Seremban. Tomorrow, whole day, this past journey to Pahang. And you can sense the response. Very encouraging with the Chinese, no doubt. But the growing response among the poorer Malays, I'm not able to attract interest among the Tansuis and Takus, among the Melayu. But this is something that's happening as real. That is why I think, what we have done, the small pamphlets, and the Malacca use, there is a limited penetration in the sense that urban, suburban, but rural heartland. In Sarawak, many of you may not be familiar with the fact that almost every long house have access to Radio Free Sarawak. Now, Radio Free Sarawak, by the way, is an initiative done by many of our friends in Sarawak and in London. By the way, she happens to be the sister-in-law of Gordon Brown. She's partly known. Gordon Brown spoke to Gordon Brown once. Gordon Brown said, "Look, I know what's happening. No way can I go near Southeast Asia because my sister, like my sister Claire, seems to be attacking all the timber tycoons and corruption in Sabah and Sarawak, and I have no chance to get any payment for speaking English in any part of it." That's so effective in Sarawak. Yesterday, I was in Kenawi, in this log house, and then I started speaking. They said, "Datuk, Madu dan Racun." So Madu dan Racun is a very popular Indonesian song, very popular here, and I just put up the blues, created this interest. Madu di tangan kananmu, pakatan racun di tangan kirimu, BM. I started that, and then this was month, but I've never been to that area. I'm talking about very remote Kenawi, and they all knew the song. I said, "Dari mana lah? Radio Free Sarawak." The one I'm introducing now is confidence, very confident, because of the support in Sabah and Sarawak. Ada slide boleh tengok Lahad Datu predominantly Muslim area. Some Chinese Lahad Datu town, predominantly Muslim area, like 70-80%. Keninga 90% Kadazan usul Christian. From Keninga to Lahad Datu, no less than thousands appear. So I came back and we had a major rally in Penang, introduced a new song, because in school, in kindergarten, we always start with this song, "Tanya sama pokok, apa sebab goyang." So I popularized the song. It gives them confidence. Tanya sama Najib, apa sebab goyang, nanti jawab Najib, sabar nak hilang. Doesn't sound too serious. I worry because I say you must maintain your composure and intellectual prowess, otherwise they don't believe you can be a good prime minister. Cik. But let me conclude by saying that we once were able to penetrate to Sabah as we have been successful. Not necessarily to our own initiative. We think because of our small egos probably that we have done. Because there's so much frustration and anger. And I use the awakening, the awareness, and supported by some, civil society organizations, but still, it's a major to do, because then you actually be able to cut across racial barriers, and for the first time, obviously, you have many Chinese youth participating in demonstrations. Because in the past, demonstration from my generation to the present generation is purely a preoccupation of the Malays. The Chinese are not supposed to demonstrate because it is a Malay country. Remember? Ini yang kasar, ketuanan lain. But now, appreciated. But even ketuanan lain, you must remember, in 2008, after we won, I had a major rally in Kampung Baru, the Malay heartland in Kuala Lumpur, where I publicly declared, no more ketuanan Melayu. Sekarang ini ketuanan Melayu hanya memperkayakan kronik dan keluarga menteri dan pimpinan. Sekarang slogan kita adalah ketuanan rakyat, ketuanan rakyat, ketuanan rakyat. This was 2008. Weekend. Now, final issue of transition. There's a lot of concern. What happened? They say, what happened in case of hung parliament? I said, why are you talking about hung parliament? We are going to win with a comfortable majority. What's the problem, you guys? I mean, tell the elite, people like Siva, these urban elites, smart guys, hung parliament. I said, Siva, win Subang seat comfortably. That's your duty, and we will make it. And I don't believe. To me, a hung parliament is a defeat for the opposition, for Pakatan Raya. Because you are dealing with it undemocratic, oppressive force. But the win is convincing, and I believe so. I mean, yes, we are going to today Fuzia, our MP from from Kuala evidence to the party leaders how the fraud continues in the electoral process. It's not something new, it's happening. You know, these thousands were, when we protested, they omitted. And the next quarter, these names appear, or reappear. So I'm going to expose them tonight in Seremban. Then how many can we cheat? The Nurizas was very worried because 8,000 Malays in Seputih will be sent to Lemah Pantai. So I told them, what made you think that the 8,000 poor Malays in Seputih are going to support the Dalam Cheat? Young guys are very nervous. Be steady. What you need to do is to go down to Seputih and campaign there. Yeah. And then now, all police, IPDs from from all over care, suddenly it's all registered as drivers police station, voting in the Makassar. What make you think all these policemen at that level are not going to vote for you? Yeah. I mean, the IDP may not. Even then, the ex-IDP is getting closer to us. Why is that Musa suddenly trying to soften and cultivating the relationship? Look at Latifah, she's dead against. I don't seek her advice on this issue. Because I think, honestly, he believes, from his understanding, of the reports from his colleagues, you are going to read. Well, UMNO complained recently why I used the private jet. Nak bagi pinjam, tu free lah, dah makan lah, bagaimana? No terms. Okay. You're not going to get a license because it's lunch. And you apply according to the due process. And then you look at it. Similarly, but I say, became big issue with TV3 and RTM and Putusan. Pasal private jet, saya naik motor di Johor, you katok saya motor. Saya naik bas, you balik cat saya punya bas. Saya naik jet lah. Respond seriously in every issue. And then as I say, you should not underestimate the wisdom. So, the answer to the question of a transition, one, we must have a clear thought. Number two, I can't say more, but from my understanding, goes the army and the rulers, they follow the rules. Their sentiments pro and no maybe doesn't matter to me. It's a free country. But when it comes to a decision, they will respect the decision in the elections. Never give them that sort of indication that we are not certain. One former chief of the army told me, and in very strong, he said, Anwar, I don't think you have an understanding of what the military is all. Are there one or two really in the payroll of certain companies or agents? The rest are professionals. We are here for his king and country to protect the constitution. And even if one or two generals decide to defend it, you think the second line of the colonels would agree? No, they understand what's going to take this country. There's so much frustration and anger about procurement policy, about massive endemic corruption in the procurement of the Ministry of Defense. So that was very, I was there with Mansour, the Deputy Chief Minister of Finance. I have no reason to doubt. I've never doubted that. I don't think it is even an issue. It's an issue being debated by some quarters where we are not Burma. So I think what we need to do now is just be positive, look forward, make sure, and of course, it's your role as much as everybody's role, to make sure that we honor our commitment. And I think, inshallah, we're going to form the next government. And we'll be entrusted with this major mandate of saving the economy, of having the systemic shift from the obsolete policies to the new policy that will give a new sense of confidence to Malaysians and our children to be proud of. And I'm very optimistic. Give us a few years and I think not only will we change the political landscape of this country, but will make Malaysia more successful with a vibrant economy as, for example, the center and focus in this region, Southeast Asia. Not a very structured speech, but because we would welcome questions. My younger colleagues, with our advisor, Hussein is also here. Somebody who will help, but you should know. Many things to, people tend to ask, you have actually people, are you sure? Come on. Whom you're compared to? You think you're searching somebody better than the Present Minister of Education? Or somebody better than the Minister of Home Affairs? Don't you realize that that question is an insult to us? It's a Rhodes Scholar. You want to compare to Shamuddin? Rafizi, his credentials was in Petronas. The up-and-coming Petronas. He made that blunder by deciding to join me in Islam. And now look, how do you, these are our pride. Because not only are you smart and articulate, you are courageous. If I had to tell, look, you have fought this Charism on the local case. You handle Nazri carefully, measuring all the facts. Yeah, that's my duty to advise to make sure, because it's getting tougher. Because Nazri is more experienced. Although they make some stupid blunders in the statements too.
Yeah, horrible.
Typically, I'm not going to say much about those visa. You spoil them and praising them maybe too much. But Surendra has been there from 98. As human rights lawyer, committed and very articulate. So men, women, Eddie has been there. If I was just the extreme in terms of environment, everything must be green, including a necklace. If you say or suggest that we have to get people experience, then our answer is a reply to Sharizad, yes, I do not have an experience in corruption. So I think technically this support, it means a lot to us. And I can assure you, as I said to Kimu and Kike, I can assure you that every single cent given, contributed, will be spent wisely for the cause, for a new Malaysia, for a new injustice.